Let's talk about Money in the Bank before we wrap things up. So we know the 6 people are going to be in each match. Let's start with the women's, because that feels slightly more cut and dry. Io Sky, Chelsea Green, Lyra Valkyria, Tiffany Stratton, Naomi, and Zoe Stark. Can you make an argument for anyone other than Tiff in this?
Only Chelsea Green, because the reaction she got was proof that how much she has bought into that character over the years and survived multiple versions of WWE and remained over, and that earnest pop that her qualifying got, made you think if they were going to give her the briefcase, yes, right now she's still the character that is kind of at that punchline, and a willful participant in the punchlines that are scripted against her ultimately. But you're not necessarily giving somebody the briefcase for today. Are you giving them it for 12 months? And you take that affection that people genuinely have for Chelsea Green and just very delicately tweak the character from being kind of a cartoon heel to being somebody that over time just becomes really popular, like serviceable in the ring, and sometimes much better than that too, but it's always been character-based for Chelsea Green. If you pivot with her as a character when she's got this briefcase and she becomes a babyface, you really might have something, because there's a proper bond with the audience and her. All of that is to say, no, I don't think you can look past Tiffany Stratton. I think they might have even tried to get there sooner with her had things not gone a certain way around Queen of the Ring time, and this is them.
She posted a racist video on Instagram.
Really, really dumb. This is them attempting to get back to that. To your fantasy booking of Nia Jax very possibly beating Bayley at SummerSlam and then having the two of them with the case and the
Queen
belt.
and the Princess.
Yeah, with the case and the belt on SmackDown all at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, politically, they might not want to go with Tiffany Stratton. Realistically, I know how these things work. I'm not a moron. They'll wait until the heat dies down. And with WWE, there's very little heat on them, even though there quite frankly should be a lot of the time. That's all dissipated. So they're probably clear and dry, ready to go ahead with it. They still might, want to teach her a lesson, even if nobody else seems to give a toss, and not enough people do, about what WWE does and how they react to things. That said, if you look at the way that Paul Levesque tells the stories, right, he's increasingly leaning in on, it's just kind of remarkable, really. If you consider what he was doing, he has in fact pivoted. In 2022, late 2022, he had Drew McIntyre say the word wrestling every other sentence, every other word in every other sentence. And he brought back the NXT people, and it was very much like, all right, okay, well, that's Paul Levesque for you. Increasingly, it's a lot soapier. It's a lot more like romance angles, supernatural, and it's obviously working. People want that out. People didn't want to see a Black and Gold reboot.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the way they reacted to the personnel. And I think he's actually quietly pivoted into a more, I don't want to say they're all caricatures, but there's very soapy love interest, love triangles.
I think he's trying to see what people are best at. I think he's Liv Morgan, I think is a perfect example. I think he's looking at what the pros and cons are and thinking, Chad Gable is where he's gone wrong with that, realistically. But I think that's what he's trying to do, is break them all down and think, how should I push and use you? And that's why you're getting this mix of everything at the moment. I don't know. Maybe that's...
I think he's just spotted, right? Work rate's gone. I try to do it. AEW's trying and failing to do it. Let's get more soapy. Let's get more exaggerated with our characters, more soapy. All of which is to say that I think under the way that Paul Levesque currently writes, books, crafts, directs, guides, whatever, this product, is that I can absolutely see. I mean, look at R-Truth and The Miz at WrestleMania. It's increasingly there's a lot of levity in WWE programming. And I think with the way that Paul Levesque is sort of driving this right now, I think these writers know how to craft, and they've got the option now, or the remit even of, see this through for 3 months. It might go slowly, but that's what I want. I reckon the writers, with the way that they sort of seem to enjoy crafting things, would have a way better time doing something with Chelsea Green and her, there's a sort of the way it works now with Dom and Liv is, how do these two characters, one of whom doesn't seem to want anything to do with the other, how can we have them interact every single week? I think Levesque will want Chelsea Green, the wrestler who's too scared to cash in even. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She plays the chicken heel. She's that weird, it works for them, that weird wrestler who doesn't want to be a wrestler, and that just kind of makes sense in WWE's world. I can imagine the writers absolutely loving the idea sessions of how to craft these situations where, come on, I mean, she's unconscious.
Yeah.
You've got to pin her now, but how do they get away from her not cashing in? And I think it'll catch on. I honestly think she's not in there just for a comedy spot. I think Chelsea Green's winning.
I think I've always, we've loved Tiffany Stratton for us from her time in NXT. She's been a sensation on the main roster. And since she moved up, she felt like a nailed on competitor, at least in Money in the Bank. But I can't look past her for anyone in there, Naomi, there's a story you can tell there.
Yeah.
Chelsea Green, I think you're right. There is something. I will probably...
You're right. You would love to...
It's a fun creative challenge, that, isn't it?
You'd love to toss around ideas of how do we get her to not cash in?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's two of my favourites on SmackDown. I just love the idea of Queen Nia and then Princess Tiffany Stratton with her own personalised, pink briefcase, sort of little glances at Nia, who's constantly telling her, hey, if you cashed in on the Raw champion, we'd be champions on both brands.
Yeah, you sit with it and you judge over
Run
time.
the kingdom.
If there's a babyface turn the horizon, you do it. If it just makes more sense for it to stay heel, you do the cash in on Nia and some like babyface.
She's someone who can hold it for a long time as well.
Yeah, you've got a year to figure out how best to have it play out. Yeah, I think so. But over the course of this, I've sort of talked myself into wanting to see Chelsea Green do it. I loved her winning. Like that was a real feel good moment, her qualifying for it. So.
How confident, as we move over to the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, how confident are you that Jey Uso wins this now?
Slightly less so since LA Knight got in.
Yeah.
I didn't think they would go with LA Knight. They seemed, mainly because they kicked Santos Escobar's ass the week before. And then I thought, that's what they're doing. They're kind of, because him and Logan Paul are already engaged in this thing of the US title. Santos gets beat up, gets to win the match as a sort of, make good for that. And he didn't. They've just gone with LA Knight. He scored his first pinfall victory over Logan Paul, which is obviously in service of their big US title match, you'd think, at SummerSlam. But there's two things there, isn't there? Number one, we know now that this briefcase can be for any belt. So LA Knight could just say, I want you and I want you in Cleveland. I'm going to beat you in your hometown. I'm going to do it there in the stadium. And that's his big moment. It's LA Knight's big moment. Or, because it's a year, because it's time away, I think it's probably something they're not getting a lot of credit for at the moment is how they did drop LA Knight back down the card, but yet again, he feels like a guy that's on the ascendancy. Mm-hmm. I didn't think that was possible after he lost to Roman Reigns. I thought they're going for him now, and why not? He's really hot. Cash your chips a little bit with him. In him sort of struggling to find his way and then finding it again with this Logan Paul story, I kind of think they're starting to see him as a world title contender, but a proper one this time.
You can hear the L.A. and people just going, oh my God, it's happening tonight.
It dipped a bit, and then it's come back up a bit, and you sort of feel it. I'm going to stick with Jey Uso because I just like my own fantasy booking. Smell of my own farts. I really like the fact that he holds that briefcase for ages, and the whole thing was him going solo was all about winning his singles title, and it was Jimmy that screwed him over and over and over again. And with that babyface turn coming, and with everything that's coming with the Usos and the bloodline and all of that, them winning the tag belts as part of his cash in, and him almost like the Brett and Owen thing of like when they put them together for the turn, it was like Brett's decided to drop down to the tag ranks to help his brother. Like that's such a nice babyface thing to do, and Jey Uso's such a nice babyface. And when he realizes how all of this played out and everybody constantly fighting for singles titles was what tore them all apart, like the tag story is the one I want to see ultimately with the Usos. But on the night, him winning the briefcase going to go off. Like it's going to feel massive.
Yeah. I have no idea who you're picking for this.
Give me I'll do process of elimination with the participants.
Jey Uso.
We'll do the one least likely first.
Okay. Least likely, probably Chad.
Yeah, he's not winning.
Andrade.
He's there to make it exciting.
Do a bump, Andrade.
Yeah, break your ankles, basically. Hates his own ankles, Andrade.
Mello.
I hope not.
I've got a theory for Mello, so I'll tackle that.
I really hope it's not Mello. I think he's a gentleman's 3 work rate hybrid wrestler. I really don't see it in him at all. I think Trick was the star of that act, and that that is coming true. I think he's there because he can do some exciting spots, quite frankly, in the match. And the worry about Carmelo is that he's got that Miz-pilled approach to promos. And I know a lot of them are scripted on his behalf, but there's only so many times you can be told, oh, he's him. He's that WWE heel wrestler who says the same things over and over and over again. I've got very little time to watch him as an act. I just don't see it in Mello at all, so I hope it's not him.
LA Knight.
Well, LA Knight and Jey Uso, basically. It seems to be
LA Knight, Jey Uso, and Drew.
Drew is going to get screwed by CM Punk. So he's out of it. And it's weird because with LA Knight and Jey Uso, who I think are the two probable winners now that have eliminated the rest of the field, you got the same problem with them. Like, they're the same guy. They're both very over. They both have a catchphrase that people love to say. Neither of them you would want in a singles match main event at WrestleMania, which is why you effectively put the briefcase on someone, because you believe that they are like most qualified potentially for that spot at some point as well. It's meant to be you are on the precipice of superstardom, and it's called a WrestleMania main event, kid. You're going to have to learn how to work one. I don't know. It's a pick 'em. It's Jey Uso, realistically, but do you want to see main event WrestleMania?
On the Drew, I would for the tag belts. I would.
Yes, no, I like your fantasy booking way more than the idea of LA Knight or Jey Uso having singles main events.
On the Drew thing, because I know you've got like a Carmelo Hayes idea of how that could work. On the Drew, he obviously said the whole deal with his is it's an all-in-one night thing for him. He wins that as a means to an end, because then he's going to win the world title. There would be quite a nice detail here if Drew attempts to follow through on his promise, cashes in. Punk.
What the world title match opens the show?
That's none of any of our concerns.
Well, it is. It's
let's say
we're analysts.
Drew wins the briefcase in the first match of the night, and the world title match is set up for the main, or wherever, elsewhere on the card, and Priest beats Seth. Finn Balor's botched interference, whatever. Priest beats Seth. Drew comes out to cash in. Just a man of his word. I'm doing it. This is happening right now. You got me at WrestleMania. I'm getting you back. Not of this again. Punk interferes and costs Drew the cash in. So they're over there. But also what Punk has done then is screw Seth too. Because if Damian Priest keeps his title, Seth can't fight for it. So Punk's been like, burn on Drew, but a little bit of burn on you, Seth. I don't like you either. Like, and Seth's like, Punk, you again. Like, the same people involved at WrestleMania are suddenly back in the same setting, and Punk is the one yet again with a smug grin on, and it's yet again Drew and Seth kind of giving him evils, and it's that thing of this really exciting main event scene, if and when Punk's ever fit enough to actually see them through all these various rivals that he's still got outstanding. You could do something with that, and then you don't have to worry about that main event conundrum because the briefcase is taken care of.
Yeah.
It's not something that kind of hangs over it.
Unlike the women's, I could see any of these six winning it. I could see them doing it with
They're
any
not doing
of them.
Andrade's
I could see them him just being like, no, Andrade's mine. We're putting the briefcase on him, and just going to
He's
try.
a speed champion.
I know, but he's one of Triple H's guys. I'm not saying I think he's going to win it. I'm just saying I could see any of the six winning it, even if it's Chad Gable, who's suddenly. I'm fascinated to see what Chad Gable with the briefcase looks like. My pitch for Mello, by the way.
Okay, I want to hear this, because how would it possibly work?
Well, I saw a tweet that's kind of accurately reflected this, showing the clip from the main event of WrestleMania 40 Night 2, which is basically people just keep coming in and costing people. Every single other person in this match, you can have someone who comes in and costs them. Jey Uso, whether it's the Bloodline or Bray Wyatt, Uncle Howdy and what have you. Same, obviously, for Chad Gable. LA Knight, Logan Paul, obviously, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, Andrade, Santos Escobar. They're all taken out, and Mello just goes, thanks very much. And then, because
I don't hate that.
He's doing this braggadocious thing on SmackDown where he's like, I'm the best, I beat so-and-so and so-and-so. And it's like, well, you didn't. There was all this other stuff going on in the match. He's like, well, check the records, I won. So, I don't know if that's the right call to make, but I could easily see it happening.
So you've done that. Well, saying that you can see Andrade winning this is unforgivable to me. So in terms of odds, you don't think it's like 1,000,000 to 1. You'd put it as like 250 to 1.
What, for Andrade?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to do some kind of bet with this.
Okay. It's a long shot. He's not like... I think...
Show me Austin Fenix window if it happens.
I think Drew wins. And then later on the night, he runs down to cash in, like Finn Balor and Damian Priest or JD McDonough or whoever have cost Seth, taken out the referee, and Drew just running, dragging the referee with him, drags it into the ring, and then realises, bloody referee I've brought with me, it's bloody CM Punk in it. What am I like, eh? And that's what costs him. Punk just immediately calls the disqualification. Sorry.
Never stopped at the
hands on a referee. Yeah.
We're all popping. Why is everybody cheering?
People are really excited about my cash in. CM Punk, just wait till he watches this. Oh, bloody hell.
Scooby-Doo. He's got one of the face masks on. Oh, no, it's Punk.